Hello everybody, my name is Claudio Fantinuoli. I am a researcher and a lecturer at the University of Mainz and head of innovation at Vigo. Today I'm presenting a paper called the Artificial Boothmate for the Interpreting Classroom and Research. So I will start illustrating what is ABM or Artificial Boothmate. ABM is a tool, a digital tool that offers real-time suggestions for interpreter, especially in the simultaneous modality, with problem triggers that have been defined by literature and that any interpreter knows to be problematic for interpretation, such as numbers and terminology. It offers also some extra features not designed only for the simultaneous modality, as I will show you later, but the overall goal is to increase accuracy of interpretation, setting cognitive capacities free so that interpreters can concentrate more on other aspects of the interpretation task. And the overall goal is to improve the performance of the interpreter. Let me give you first a little bit of background how to frame K-tool or AI enhanced K-tool in the professional setting. So at the moment we have assisted emergence of a new interpreting setting and probably new interpreting settings in plural. Think about the remote simultaneous interpretation. Normally in simultaneous interpretation you would have, for example, a boothmate to help you out in some specific contexts. This is, at least in some settings of remote simultaneous interpretation, possible. At the same time, you have the ubiquity of the use of computer, tablets, or whatever in interpretation, which is now just a normality. We have also a huge improvement of natural language processing capabilities, meaning the possibility to process language, also spoken language. Think about speech recognition, machine translation, and so on. This means that there are several projects going on at the moment. Some of them I'm involved with that try to use of this kind of technology and this particular development in the interpreting setting to integrate artificial intelligence as a supportive tool for interpreters. Here I listed three. I'm aware of Kudo Interpreter Assist, Interpret Bank, and Smart Terp, but for sure there are many more coming. Again, a couple of words about the scientific background, that what we know from experiments in the use of K-tool, automated K-tool. Well, first of all, this is a very small branch of the research in interpretive studies, so we don't know too much, but we're starting to know something, which is good. We already know that visual input can improve quality of interpretation. Think about the use of a PowerPoint while interpreting, where you find some information that you can use and integrate them into your rendition. But we also know something. The last years, a couple of experiments have been performed where interpreters used K-tools and their performance have been measured. And what we have seen is that there is an improvement in the quality of the interpretation as far as specific aspects of interpretation are concerned. But we also found out that there is a need for training people in using such tools. And this is a very important aspect. At the same time, we know very well that there are many open questions in research that need to be tackled. And so the idea of this project is to give an answer to these two needs: training and research. So what is this project and this tool? It is a real-time automatic support for interpreters, both for the simultaneous modality as for the dialogic or consecutive modality. And it has been designed solely with the training and the experimental setting in mind. I will show you how it works, show you some videos and how we designed it to cope with this necessity that are specific to training and research. What are the basic features offered by this tool? We have the possibility to have a running live transcription, suggestions, especially for the simultaneous modality, so a prompt popping up suggestions, which are numbers with context, dates, and so on, and terminology, both from the user database, so vetted terminology, and also automatic generated terminology from the system with translations generated from the system as a third kind of option of information that is displayed by the tool in real time. We can use multiple target languages in the same session. Think about a class where we have a source language and different translation and different languages as a target language, for example, a mock-up conference and so on. This is possible. We have the automatic conversion of units, and we have a digital notepad, of course, specifically designed for the use in the dialogic consecutive modality. These are the main features that we have integrated in this tool. The architecture, I'm not going into detail, just a very broad explanation. The tool listens to the speaker in real time, transcribes what has been said. Then we have a language model that finds out terminology, numbers, and reference, and so on. We look up either in the user's glossary, or we spot terminology on the fly and find on the fly translations, using machine translation or the web as a semantic source of information. These are two options. The first one, the user glossary, is thought as a controlled environment. It's very clear that it's important for interpreters and therefore also for teaching and researching on this to use a very controlled glossary where the interpreter has vetted the quality of the glossary and only information needed by a specific interpreter is there. But it's also interested to experiment with the possibility to find automatically and translate automatically information that is potentially used by the interpreter. So we have two distinct options here. Then when we have this information, again in real time, we display it to the user. Plus, for the consecutive modality, we have some possibility of interaction, user-machine interaction, which is not available for the pure simultaneous modality, where we just get suggestions for the interpreter to consume or not, depending from the context. couple of words about the performance of the tool. We make a distinction. I make a distinction between numbers and terminology. Numbers meaning all digits, dates, and so on. We reach a precision of 96%, a recall of 100%, meaning everything has been displayed, and the latency, which is the delay between the speaker saying this unit of interest and the tool displaying it to the user is under 2 seconds, is around 2 seconds, but always under 2 seconds. The terminology, as far as the terminology is concerned, the precision is a little bit lower, 94%, and the recall is quite lower, 81%. And this is an area where we have to work on and improve the tool. Latency is the same as for numbers, is under 2 seconds. Very important to note here is that I use a standard corpus when performing this kind of benchmark, but it goes standard, meaning standard speed, standard accent, standard way to, at least what we can define as standard. But it's very important to note that when the speech, for some reason, mainly because of strong accent on the one side, the presence of disfluencies on the other, or particular features of the speech, which is quite typical in the spontaneous speech, then we have a degradation of these numbers. However, at the same time, the more technical, meaning the more specialized the speech is, the less interesting enough this degradation is. As far as the setting and why we design it in a way that we can say that this is interesting for research and teaching, is that we have, first of all, a one-to-many setup, meaning we have a web-based platform where there is the teacher organizing the session, and then the possibility to share this session in real time with the students or the participants to the experiment, and all people will see the same results at the same time. So we define a project, we share the session, and we distribute the results in real time on many computers, both locally in a university or remotely, just using any kind of computer. This is the interface, for example, of the simultaneous modality, where we have the lower part is the tool. We have the pop-up for terminology and translations, and the pop-up part space pane for digits and time. As you can see, language combination can be set, meaning every student can set her own language combination, and so on. I show you a short video of how it works.
New ambitions call for a new compass. Indeed, we're also changing the way we measure our performance. We no longer talk about market shares, sales, and synergy records. We talk about profit, cash, and investment effectiveness. In the construction of the plant, we went for cautious volume and flat market shares, and assumed markets would return to pre-crisis level by 2023 in most emerging markets, and beyond 2025 in Europe. Any outstanding success of a product, any unanticipated rebound of a market, any opportunity to partner in order to synergize investments that might happen along the way will just come on top of these numbers. We commit by 2023 to reach more than 3% group operating margin, accumulate around 3 billion euro operational free cash flow, and lower our investment around 8% of turnover, moving from double-digit to low-level industry standard in this phase. We'll get there step by step, but our operating margin will stay penalized by the high level of depreciation and by decreasing R&D capitalization ratio. By 2025, we aim at more than 5% group operating margin, around 6 billion of cumulative 2021-2025 auto free cash flow, and a ROCE improved by more than 15 points compared to 2019. That KPI wasn't our focus up until now. It becomes fundamental as we have agreed as a team to be strict on the quality of our investment decision. Now, back to Luca.
Now, here you can see that you can also show the transcription, the live transcription. This is quite an interesting aspect where we hope researchers and instructors to do experiments on, because in our first experiments, the transcription has been evaluated by the users as distracting. Too many information at the same time. But at the same time, we see, or I see, observe interpreters using very much the transcription in real life. So I'm not so sure that it is really a distraction for the interpreter. Maybe there are personal aspects playing into a role, attitudes, and so on. So in this tool, we want to give the possibility to select the transcription, or just to visualize the suggestions and let students experiment with it, let researchers experiment with it. As I said before, you can create a link to a specific event set up by the organizer, the teacher, and distribute this link by email, for example, to all the students and participants, and they will see the same happening, the same information that are produced in the trainer computer in real time. You can imagine this: the trainer speaks, reads aloud a speech, for example, or as in the video before, connects a video, a real video, and distribute this session, with a token, to the different participants, and they will see at home or in the classroom the same kind of suggestions. This was for the simultaneous modality. I took out from my drawer old prototype I created times ago, and decided to made it public for people to experiment, which is probably the first prototype of a tool supported by AI designed for consecutive or dialogic interpretation. In the past, I concentrated myself on focused on the simultaneous modality. But I think there is potential also here, and we do not know anything about the reception or the use of a tool such as the one I'm presenting you for this consecutive modality. So I hope this will foster a little bit of experimenting also in this area. The tool uses the same technology which are at the base of the simultaneous suggestion tool, but it packages it in a different way. On the left side, we have a running transcription. We have highlighting of some information, for example, numbers. We have conversion of numbers if somebody wants it done in real time, so from miles to kilometers, for example, if you need to interpret from one metric system, from a language and a culture, from one metric system to another. Then you have also the possibility to translate on the fly terms while you are listening and while the transcription is being produced. And on the right side, you have the possibility to take notes conventionally, like is normally done for a consecutive assignment or a dialogic assignment. Of course, the tendency will be, as far as we can see, that not very much notes are taken, but are taking notes just for complementing things that the transcription had problems with. So this moves a little bit the consecutive interpretation towards a side translation. Of course, they are two different activities, but I guess there is some potential in this, and it's important to start experimenting here. And I wish that research will come out of this tool. I will show you a short video of it.
Anti-vaxxers blamed for 300% rise in measles. UNICEF has reported that measles cases worldwide have surged by 300% in the first 3 months of 2019. UNICEF's report came out on the same day that the USA's Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, reported that confirmed measles cases in the US are the highest they've been since the disease was declared eradicated in 2000. UNICEF reported that an estimated 169 million children worldwide have missed out on measles vaccines. It added that 110,000 people, mostly children, died from measles in 2017, up 22% from the year before. UNICEF said, "The measles virus will always find unvaccinated children. We need to vaccinate every child in rich and poor countries alike." The CDC blamed the anti-vaccination.
Okay, this is what I wanted to present you. This is a page of internet page for my Center for Augmented Interpretation at the University of Mainz. You can find here more information, biography about this topic and other areas on AI applied to interpretation we are working on. Feel free to reach out to me with the email address you find on this page if you have questions, recommendations, critiques, or if you want to share something with me. Thank you very much.